Hey guys, today we're doing something fun. We're going to help out Reddit user Mechanic Financial 423 in their quest to optimize their jewelry store. They have been running paid ads to their jewelry store and they've got a really unique model, but they're not seeing a lot of sales, which is a pretty common problem. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at their store, do a bit of customer research to figure out what people are after, what they're really expecting from their store. We'll look at the customer desires, behaviors, and psychology. We'll do a bit of competitor research to figure out what other people in the market are doing. We will pretend to be the customer and then walk through the store, find their meta ads, transition to the website, check out what the customer flow looks like and see if there are any obvious problems. We'll do a quick content review to see how their copywriting stacks up and see if it motivates people. We'll review their design. And finally, make a bit of an action plan. So it should be a fun one. Stay tuned. Let's get into it. All right, first step is to collect some customer feedback. This website, please be fair, do not have reviews on their products, so we can't use them. I'm going to pivot into getting reviews from other diamond rings. It's not exactly the best way to do it, but sometimes you just need to improvise. So what I've done is I've come into Google Shopping, and I'm searching for diamond rings, and I'm just going to grab any page that has a review. Now, these products are not going to be specifically like fake diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, but that's okay. So I'm just going to jump through this. I'm going to copy the results and paste them into ChatGPT and then see whether it can tell us some insights about what people are after. What I was trying to do by scraping the reviews and throwing them into ChatGPT was to figure out the 10 reasons, like the most common 10 reasons that people buy a diamond ring. I'm looking for emotionally connected reasons because that's the kind of copy that we want to weave onto the sales page. We want the sales page to mention some of these desires, whether it's directly or through imagery. And then I also want to understand the top 10 objections because the sales page, in order to get someone to purchase or at least to come back, we need to break down those objections. So we need to speak to the customer in their language and say, hey, I understand that this thing might be a problem, but in our case, it's not. And this is the reason why. So I'm just going to go over these super quickly. So from the reasons that people buy, this is the kind of emotional connection, the language and the picture, the story that we'd want to tell through the content. Number one, symbol of love and commitment. Makes sense. It's mostly engagement rings. Two, emotional pride in gifting or receiving. So this is a big purchase for a lot of people. And like there's a lot of cultural factor that's baked into this. And, there's like that whole thing that you're supposed to spend X month's salary on a ring. And most of the time it would be the fiance or the husband giving the ring. Beauty and sparkle. So I guess the thing about diamonds is like size and sparkle. They're the two things that people really notice. So if you can play into those two traits, then customers will probably buy. Validation through compliments, marking life milestones, desire for timelessness, trust in brand or buying experience, personal expression, assurance of quality and craftsmanship, which is a big one for lab-grown diamonds, and fulfillment and fantasy. So I think most of this is like painting a picture or telling a story about how you want this to be memorable, and it might be something that you have to tell visually because I don't think a lot of jewelry stores have written content. I don't think that's really something that resonates with people. So yeah, but at least we know now what we're kind of shooting for. Top 10 objections or hesitations: fear of buying online sight unseen. So this is a big one. People don't know what it looks like. And we'll have a look in a second at a couple of examples where two websites do a really good job of breaking this objection. Number two, wrong size or fit concerns. I mean, this is a problem whenever you're buying something online that has to fit quite snugly. So there'd need to be sizing charts and images of people trying on particular rings and things like that, just to reassure people that they are buying the right size or help them through that objection. Fragility concerns: if you're selling something that's cheap, you really need to reinforce the fact that it's not going to break and it's not thin. Shipping or delivery delays, it's pretty standard. Style or color mismatch, again, pretty standard. Skepticism about lab-grown diamonds, and this is a big one that you really want to push back on. So got to understand that most people don't know a lot about lab-grown diamonds, so we'd need to firstly educate and then secondly break those objections apart. Frustration with customer service doesn't really matter. Overwhelm or decision fatigue for this site doesn't really matter too much. Fear of overpaying, so this is probably the one that this site goes into the strongest, but it's not really the most common objection. So the positioning of the store may be a little bit not wrong, but it might be chasing the wrong objection. And aftercare and longevity worries, so that's broken with warranties and stuff like that, and reviews, user-generated content. So this is a good baseline for us to now go and review the store and see if the content and the way that the store is positioned kind of matches up with these desires and objections. But before we do that, I'm going to jump in and have a look at a couple of really well done sites, and then we can pivot onto the final review. Now, I never know how to say this brand. I did an audit for these guys last year, I think, or earlier this year. Umai. They're a really cool brand. They've been growing really fast. I think they're based in California. Their web design is really cool. They heavily lean into the visual side of things, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like on mobile, because people don't really use desktop in the digital world anymore. So on mobile, they have these really cool product cards. It's very tall, and it looks good. Like, their product photography is great. They have a lot of small interactivity across the site, and their branding is quite clear. Just have a look at what they do in terms of motivating customers. So they've got zoom in so we can actually see this. They've got a buy one, get one for $5, which is great value. They advertise 2-year warranties right next to the products. They don't use reviews, which is interesting. Free shipping, 2-year warranty. They've got a lot of social proof, so 12,000 5-star reviews is actually very impressive if we can get access to them. And then they just focus on branding. So they've got a pretty strong brand, and that comes through across their design. So they're using video, which is super important, because if you think back to the objections that we just covered, people are concerned that they don't know how thin the band is, which you can clearly see in a video in the context of someone wearing it, what it's going to fit like, what it looks like. So that's the main thing that they're trying to counter with this imagery and the video, and I think they've done a really good job. And then they've leaned heavily into reviews. So buying jewelry online is very much a trust game, and the best way to build trust with a customer is to show them other people who have made a purchase, real people, real reviews. You can't make this stuff up. It needs to come directly from a customer. So UGC, and like if you look at how this UGC dominates the page, or the reviews dominate the page rather, there's just a little bit of information up here on what you get. So here's what you get. Here's the sizing, add to cart. This is all very clean and concise. And then it's just straight onto the reviews. And the reviews are doing all of the selling. So they're not really breaking any objections. I mean, they've got a bit of content around what this is, but they're letting the reviews do everything and the visual storytelling. So these guys are doing a good job. They get the tick of approval. I think we could probably learn something from them. The next one is Diamonds Factory. So again, I've used these guys as a reference when I've been reviewing other jewelry stores. I think they do a really good job as well. Just zoom in again. The only thing with these guys is that they do have a lot of products, and all of their products are quite customizable. So it's easy to get lost in their processes. This is not relevant to Please Be Fair, to the website we're reviewing, because like they don't have this many products and they're not customizable in this way. But these guys have a really cool navigation. When you actually get into their content, they do these little animations, and their branding is really clean and consistent. So let's have a look at diamond rings. We've got to go through a few stages, a few collections before we actually get into a ring. But let's jump into this one. So again, these guys they lean more into the customization, so it's not as relevant, but they do a lot of visual storytelling with they do video as well. Video works really well in this niche because people can see exactly what it looks like. this is the biggest objection that they're trying to break here with the video. So look at the thickness of the band. This is what it looks like. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like with someone's hand, so you can get a better feel for it. They even do like this little thing to show you what it's going to look like based on your skin color, which is pretty cool. So a lot of their website is focused on breaking down that one objection. So that's it. We've had a look at the competition. We've done some customer research. So now we can go and do our review of the actual site. Okay, I am a customer. I want to buy a ring. I want it to be cheap. I've seen a Facebook ad and now I'm here. So the first thing I see is a diamond, which is great. That tells me that I'm in the right spot. The name, Please Be Fair, doesn't really tell me what's going on. So as a branding name, it's not super strong. I would probably put some kind of subtext up here that explains that Please Be Fair are a lab-grown diamond distributor. The navigations, I mean, in my opinion, this navigation's in the wrong spot. It should be the logo and the name should be up here. And the hero section should announce either like a special deal or what the brand sells. So when people land on the page, they know immediately that I'm in the right place. Because if you remember back to the Facebook ads, they're expecting to see this logo. They're expecting to see some content that relates to this and like probably some of these things on the homepage just so they know that they're in the right spot. None of that stuff is visible. And I don't think we're really pitching the right benefits here. So cost 99% less than a natural diamond. Ambiguity kills conversion on the web. This would need to say costs something versus the price of an actual diamond. So cost as little as $99 compared to $4,000 that you pay for a normal diamond or organic diamond, whatever they're called. This is not the right look for a high quality landing page. I would immediately ditch this. Like this is, no one's going to sit through this and watch it. The only way that this would work is if it was a GIF with like wording underneath it and if it was quite snappy. But the fact that it takes up so much real estate is just driving people away. Like you need to get them straight into the products and you need to tell them what the value is. The background here is it just doesn't look professional. Like nothing about this is going to make people want to buy, and it's really I think it's hurting the sales page a lot. Okay, so now we get down to the content. So we've got a big claim, 100,000 happy customers, 4.9 out of 5 stars, and I want to see these reviews. So I want to be able to click on this to verify that this isn't just made up. Looks like a 10,000 diamond. You decide how much to pay. Okay, so not the strongest headline. You would really want to lean into the reasons why customers buy this product and what your unique selling proposition is. So if you think back to the research that we did for on the customer reviews and what ChatGPT came up with, sparkle is one thing. People want the diamonds to sparkle. They want to know that they're high quality, even though that they're lab grown. They want an emotional connection because they're buying this for like an engagement or a wedding or something. So you'd really want to lean into that emotional trigger rather than looks like a $10,000 diamond, because that's not a motivator. People don't want a diamond. They want something that's timeless. They want a piece of jewelry that signifies their love. So this needs to be rewritten to be more emotionally connected. And then these need to be linked to the actual reviews so people can go and read the reviews and let other customers do the selling for them. Get offer. Okay, so what happens when I hit get offer? Okay, so this wording needs to be clearer. If you want people to go and click on this, then it needs to say shop collection or like browse rings or something like that. Pay what you want collection. Okay, starts as low as $99. That's cool. Okay, the product photography is pretty good. This looks good. You choose your price. So the repeated content is not great though. I'd probably remove that and make these images bigger because it's not really serving any point. if you have specific reviews for each of these products, then it would be good to list them here. It may also, that's probably all you need to do. You just need to get people in here. I'd want these products to be the best sellers as well. So let's have a look. In the product page, on the product page, I should say, okay, so that's sticky on the right. I wonder if I zoom out, is this, okay, that's not too bad. I don't love this design. I don't think it's doing the right thing. People want to scroll up and down on the left and they're stuck with the content on the right, which is a bit annoying. There's a bit of friction there. I would probably look to change that. But in saying that, the vast majority of people would be coming on mobile anyway. So this is good. I like this gallery. That's doing well. This could be consolidated. I mean, these are small points, right? So if you look at your heat maps, and let's just check. So Shopify, so no heat map that I can see in the technology stack unless it's running as a plugin. So I would strongly advise installing Microsoft Clarity. It's free. It's a good plugin. It'll let you have a look at the heat maps and how people are interacting with the page. But the point here is that this little bit here is real estate that could be, everything could be pushed up a little bit. So you could just have dots along here rather than a 1 out of 6 carousel thing. Not a big deal. Okay, part of a collection, that's fine. The name of the product, over 100,000 happy customers. I'm going to say that at this point, I would not believe you. I don't believe you that you have 100,000 happy customers. You've just put an emoji stars. So unless you can prove it, this is breaking my trust. Ring sizes, again, this is something that I would look to consolidate in the design to make it a little bit nicer because it's chewing up a whole bunch of vertical real estate. If you look at the heat maps, what you'll see is by the time people get down here, by the time they get to the order now button, you would have lost over 50% of your visitors. So you really need to squish everything up. Okay, set your price. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never really seen this mechanism before, so I don't know whether it works or not. I know that it does work in the computer game world because people sell bundles like this, but for a straight up product, I'm not sure. You're making us go out of business. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. This is not an emotional, it's not the right way to do that. You're making us go out of business, but we will deliver your order at this price. Yeah, so I'm not really sure about this one. It's not something I'm familiar with, but I would be changing that wording to subtly push people towards making a higher purchase. But the way that I've seen this work in the past is that if you spend $99, you get the cheap version that's like okay, but it's not the best. If you spend $300 or like if you spend over $500, you get the product plus a really cool box or something like that is really desirable, and you need the two together to feel like you're buying the whole thing. So you can get just the base model, but it's not everything. I think this is not a strong emotional pitch, and people will be like, sweet, well, I actually don't care about you because you're a faceless brand. I don't even know who I'm talking to. Like you don't have a name. You're just a brand. You're just a company. So I actually don't care if I'm taking you for a ride. Our average customer paid, okay. I don't believe that either because I don't believe the 100,000 happy customers. So I'm going to say that that's probably not true. But even if it is, I'm not prepared to pay that much. So if this is a dynamically generated number, which I'm pretty sure it's not, then that's cool. That's great. It's good that you're doing that. But if it's not, if people are actually only paying $99, then that feels a bit untrustworthy, which I think is one of the underlying tones of the whole website. Okay, and then let's go down to the benefits. Looks like a $100,000 diamond. I'll just go back to the desktop view so we can see it a little bit easier. Looks like a 10K diamond costs what you decide. Oh, that needs to be rewritten. Handcrafted with CRA certified. Okay, so this is good. If you have certificates around what it is made out of, then that's great. I would probably push on that a little bit harder. The other thing is that people don't read content on the web, they just skim. So your headlines have to be working really hard. Perfect for engagements, gifting, or simply celebrating yourself. Okay, yeah, so this needs to be tied to those like emotional benefits that I mentioned in ChatGPT before. Product details, CRO certified. This would need to link to something to prove this again. Thick platinum. Okay, fade and scratch. Okay, 10-year warranty. I'd probably want a few more details on that. So if there's a link where you could expand on that, that's pretty cool because that's a really strong selling point. Why we let you choose the price. Okay, this kind of feels like it's been written by AI by the way that it's been bolded. Okay, we trust you to decide what's fit. This is actually not a reason that makes sense to me. So we believe luxury shouldn't belong to the few. It should be accessible to anyone who values beauty, honesty, and craftsmanship. Okay. This reason needs to be legitimate, like I need to really believe why you're doing this. And I don't do that at the moment. That's not just me being skeptical, even though I am naturally skeptical, but reading this, I'm like, I don't know why you're doing this. And I still don't understand, like, why? Because you think that everyone should be able to buy luxury diamonds that you're opening this up. Like, if you could tell me a story of where you were growing up and you wanted to get married, but you didn't have the money, so you couldn't do that. But then you decided you'd start a jewelry store, and your thing was that you wanted everyone to be able to buy an engagement ring because you couldn't. I would believe that story. I'd be like, great, that's emotionally engaging. That's a story I can believe. I don't understand this reason and I don't believe it. So I'm moving on. Okay. Shop now, choose your price. Okay, cool. This is a good video. That would do better in the carousel. Same sparkle, that's good. This is a good point. 1% of the price, perfect gift. I get rid of the emojis, they cheapen your brand. John's review, you've got the same review here. Ditch him. Got questions, we've got answers. What's the catch? There isn't one. Okay. Is this a real diamond? No. Okay. So yeah, okay. So we really need to see reviews. You've mentioned reviews too many times to not show them now. So yeah, there's a few things going on here. If you don't have reviews, then I just strip it out and just focus on the cost savings and like the emotional attachment that people are looking for. Also, it would be good to keep people shopping. So at the end, you do have enough products in here to push people back into the catalog. So I'd probably do that because you want people to stay on the site. You want them to come back in, and it takes a lot of touch points to convince someone to make a sale, especially if you're trying to educate them on the like pay what you want model. Okay, so that's it for the review. It's a really interesting case study. The pay what you want is something I haven't really seen before. But I think the one biggest thing that's cramping the conversion rate and hurting the brand at the moment is the trustworthiness. I don't trust the brand. The fact that you've mentioned that you have 100,000 customers is like kind of unbelievable, because that's a lot of sales, and I would expect to see the reviews if you're putting them up there. So if you could lean heavier into the user-generated content, actually show reviews on the site, then I think a lot of the selling would just happen naturally. If you think back to the two sites I reviewed, they don't push very heavily into the written benefits of their products. What they do push into is reviews and user-generated content. So that is the next step for your website to get your conversion rate up, and then just making it a little bit more congruent between the Facebook ads, the meta ads, and what people see when they land on the page. So whatever messaging you use, it has to be there when they land on the landing page on your website. So that's it.